What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be reviewing and breaking down The Flash Season 9, Episode 9. So guys, the episode starts with Barry's 30th birthday party, where we of course see Wally and Diggle return, which was just awesome. We also, already knew from trailers that this was going to happen. So we see Diggle give Barry Oliver's old bow, which we also knew was going to happen, and it was really good for them, talk about Oliver once again, even though, obviously Oliver did return in this episode. But nonetheless, it still really felt like it connected the Arrowverse one last time, and obviously, like I said, that was the theme throughout this episode as well. So we also see a talk with Wally and Barry, where Wally reveals that he can actually see into other timelines because of his connection to the Speed Force, which I thought to, be pretty interesting, and that, of course, played into later in the episode as well. But then as Barry and everyone else is drinking their champagne, Barry sees Bloodwork's blood in it, and everyone else faints besides Barry and Wally. And then Bloodwork appears once again, which we of course knew would happen, and it was needed. Finally, a good villain on The Flash Season 9. We've waited long enough. Red Death has not been very good, and then everything else we got was pretty bad as well. Of course, we find out Bloodwork has escaped Argus, like we did, from the synopsis of this episode. And we find out that he has the same plan as he did before in Season 6, but I guess to a more evolved level. And I was actually alright with that. Bloodwork is just such a good villain, and this is a great refresher for the show. But then we find out Bloodwork got in Barry's head again, and this scene here had lots of similarities to Season 6, Episode 7, which is one of the best episodes of The Flash ever. But anyways, this is where we find out Bloodwork wants to take over Wally instead of Barry. So we see Ramsey bring Wally to Wally's childhood home, and he uses Wally's mother against him, which I found interesting because that's a connection to like Season 2, which was actually really cool. They did a good job of connecting a lot of earlier seasons to this episode. Anyways, Bloodwork then tells Wally about the new multiverse. We get a quick Jesse Quick reference as well. When Wally's like, the multiverse isn't a thing anymore. I lost Jesse, all that stuff. So that was pretty cool to hear about. And this is where Bloodwork tells Wally that when he's looking into other timelines, he's actually looking into other Earths. So, that, obviously played into the episode later. So then we see this weird scene after that, with Barry, obviously Barry still being controlled by Bloodwork. We see this weird scene where they have like Barry as like an actor, like Barry Allen is playing the Flash instead of like he's actually the Flash. But obviously that was all part of Bloodwork's illusion, and then it just got even more crazy. We see like Caitlin for the first time in the whole season in Barry's illusion here, but obviously, like I said, that wasn't real. That wasn't actually Caitlin, even though it really should be. Caitlin literally should be on the show. It's kind of ridiculous that she's not, and it's Keone instead. But nonetheless, Barry then snaps out of Bloodwork's illusion and sees that Wally has been taken over by Bloodwork, and Wally kills Barry, and this is how Barry sees Oliver. Wally kills him after he was taken over by Bloodwork. So I was really questioning how Barry would actually see Oliver, and now we know, obviously, Wally kills him, which does make sense. So obviously when Barry sees Oliver, he freaks out, and then when Barry realizes that, he was killed by Wally, he believes that he's in the afterlife and that this is the real Oliver. This is where Oliver tells Barry about the new multiverse, and we also find out Red Death was from Earth 4125, so there is literally no connection between Red Death and the reverse Flashpoint timeline, which is kind of disappointing, but nonetheless, it was still cool to find out about the multiverse. We also find out Ramsey's master plan is to spread his virus into the other Earths, or, into all of the multiverse, and he's going to use Wally's ability to see into the other Earths in order to do that. So anyways, we see Wally and Bloodwork start their takeover on the world, where Wally opens his breach that Ramsey can shoot his blood through and, spread all across the multiverse. We also get some more Arrow references back with Barry and Oliver, like Oliver's father and, tons of other characters from Arrow, which was just awesome. We get some references to The List from Arrow Season 1, if you guys have seen that, and that was just so cool to hear about. And Oliver uses all of this to motivate Barry, as then Oliver brings Barry back to life, and we also find out that Oliver, obviously, who came back to life as well, he is only able to come back to life when the multiverse is in danger, as obviously he is still the Spectre, so that does make sense. But of course, when he comes back, he isn't in the form of the Spectre, he is in the form of the Green Arrow. So we see Barry and Oliver get to the breach that Ramsey opened, as Wally comes in and knocks them down. Barry and Wally go off in a speedster fight, while Oliver stays back to deal with Ramsey. But then some of Bloodwork's minions attack Oliver, and we get an awesome fight scene, just like the ones we used to get all the time on Arrow. That was one of the best scenes in the episode, and probably one of the best scenes of the season, to be honest. It was really fun to, see Oliver back in action again. But anyways, back at Star Labs, Keone is able to get Diggle out of Bloodwork's control so he can go help Barry and Oliver defeat Bloodwork, while meanwhile, we get an awesome speedster fight between Barry and Wally, which is then followed by Barry getting Wally out of, the Bloodwork trance in a really cool scene where Wally sees, like, he's just thinking back to the memories of his family, and that was a really cool way of him getting out of that trance, the Bloodwork trance. So that was a good scene right there between Barry and Wally. So then Diggle and Oliver embrace, which was just awesome to see them back together again, because Diggle kind of, he was treated unfairly in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oliver died twice and Diggle wasn't there both times, so that's, that was kind of unfair to him. So it's great that, him and Oliver are getting to see each other once again here. In the scene, Bloodwork has turned back into his full form, which was actually pretty cool to see. But anyways, Barry and Wally hold Bloodwork in place for Oliver to shoot one of his Spectre arrows, and he, says what we all wanted him to say before shooting the arrow. He says, "Ramsey Rosso, you have failed this city," which was so cool to hear. And I will say, I just want to quickly say this. This episode was written just amazing, and then I found out that this episode wasn't written by Eric Wallace. So, what a surprise! Wow, come on. Like, Eric Wallace ruined the show, I'm going to be honest. But anyways, back to the review. So yeah, Ramsey actually loses his powers because of Oliver being the Spectre, and, Oliver saves the multiverse. Everyone's, happy ending. There it is. Bloodwork has finally been defeated. So Oliver sticks around at the end, which was awesome, and we got a really good sibling scene with Iris and Wally, which was awesome, and I honestly thought that we were missing that until the end, so I thought it was great that they included that in there as well. We also get another great scene with Oliver and Diggle, which was just very emotional. Diggle talks about, Oliver's kids and everything going on with that. Oliver also tells John that he did the right thing saying no to the Green Lantern ring. It would have been nice, and if they had some other teaser with that, it's all right. It's in the past. We don't really care about that anymore. And then finally, at the end, we see a classic Barry and Oliver at the bar scene, just like they used to end all the crossovers back in the day. Oliver also used some references to when Barry first told Oliver about his powers. It was a really emotional scene. But the scene I'm talking about where Barry and Oliver are, talking on the rooftop in The Flash Season 1, Episode 1, just right after Barry got his powers. Oliver basically said what he said in that scene, in this scene in Season 9, before his eyes glow green like the Spectre, and he fades away for his final scene in the Arrowverse. So that was a really great way to end Oliver's storyline in this episode and his storyline in this universe. And I thought this was just a fantastic episode. This one was great. Now, a couple of things I want to point out. This episode was like a mini Crisis on Infinite Earths almost. It was really, really action-packed. It was really tightly, like, I guess, spaced out. There was like action happening everywhere. And honestly, I think they could have added an extra episode and just made this 2 episodes if they wanted to spread it out a little bit. I think that would have been really cool. But nonetheless, it was still a great episode. There's just one thing that I was really disappointed by in this episode, and that was us not getting a Cisco cameo. I mean, I'm sure they tried to get Cisco back, but it's just, the Bloodwork escaping Argus storyline is from a Arrowverse comic. They're connecting it to that. So, and Cisco had a huge part in that comic. So the fact that we didn't really get any type of cameo or even a reference to Cisco is a little bit disappointing, but nonetheless, this episode was still just fantastic, and I am so glad we got this episode. And, even though the season hasn't been very good, I'm glad it's starting to get good now. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your thoughts on this episode. What did you guys think of it? I thought it was just amazing. Oliver Queen and Kid Flash both returning. Bloodwork's return was just amazing. So yeah, just comment on your thoughts on that stuff down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.